All right, so we are wrapping up our little unit on time this week, and we're going to review and take our test in a couple of days. But I just wanted to go over a little bit about AM and PM. So these abbreviations, AM and PM, you might see after certain times, like maybe whenever you are invited to a Zoom meeting, it may say at 10:30 a.m. And so we're going to talk about what those mean. So, fun fact, and this is not on here, but AM and PM are actually abbreviations for something. And we know that abbreviations kind of make a really long thing short by adding a period or two periods in this case because it's two words. So, these are actually abbreviations for Latin terms. Latin is another language, and we get a lot of our words from Latin words. And so, the Latin word for AM is antemeridium. And the Latin word for PM is postmeridium. So it has to do with morning and night. So antemeridium means before midday. Postmeridium means after midday. So AM is everything before the middle of the day. So starting at 12 o'clock midnight, 12 a.m., and going all the way until 11:59 a.m., so right before lunchtime, is all going to have AM in the right after the time. So 8 a.m. would be 8, and then the abbreviation stands for antemeridium. So 8 hours, and then it's before midday. So this kind of helps us decipher because whenever we use a 12-hour time system, if you're talking about 1:25, I don't know if you're talking about 1:25 a.m. in the middle of the night or 1:25 p.m. right after lunch. Okay, and then p.m. is everything from 12 o'clock noon, so middle of the day when you're eating lunch, all the way until 11:59 p.m., which is right before midnight. Okay, so just remember AM means morning. Let's do a little label here. AM equals morning, and PM equals afternoon and evening. And notice that I didn't really write night on here because technically a lot of the hours of the night either have AM or PM, depending on whether they're before or after midnight. So anything after midnight before you wake up is going to have AM after it, but anything from the time you go to bed until midnight is going to have PM. And so I didn't really include night on there, but you just have to use your best judgment on that because 1:25 p.m. Is right after lunchtime, so that's not going to be very late, but 1:25 a.m. is going to be really late, and vice versa for something like 11:30, right? 11:30 a.m., middle of the day, 11:30 p.m., almost midnight. So, and you also really need to pay attention to these times right here. So 12 o'clock p.m. is noon, 12 o'clock a.m. is midnight. You will need those two vocabulary words, okay? So let's just practice our time telling skills right here. So right here on this clock, I'm going to tell the time on these 3 times, and I'm going to say, is this going to be AM or PM? Would I be doing this activity in the morning or in the afternoon, evening? Okay? So let's do it. So we have in this first one our hour hand, our shorter hand is pointing at the 10, and the minute hand is pointing directly at the 12, so that we know that that is o'clock. So the time would be 10 o'clock. Now, art class. Would I be having art class at 10 a.m., so getting close to noon, or would I have art class at 10 p.m., which is getting closer to midnight? Yeah, I would have it in the morning, right? So a.m. All right, going to bed. Let's check it out. So we have our hour hand is between the 8 and the 9, so I know it's going to be 8 something. And the minute hand is pointing directly at the 6, which we know cuts that clock in half, so it's going to be 30 minutes. So the time is 8:30. And another way I could say that would be what? 8:30. Okay? So I'm actually going to write that here. This would be 10 in words. This would be 10 o'clock. And this would be 8:30. Just a little review for you there. So now over here we have the hour hand pointing directly at the 4, exactly on that 4. And then the minute hand is pointing directly at the 12. So we know it is going to be something o'clock, 4 o'clock. All right, so we have 4 and we show o'clock with 2 zeros. and it would be 4 o'clock. And we forgot to do AM, PM on the last one. So going to bed. Would you go to bed in the morning or the afternoon, evening? Afternoon, evening, right? So it's going to be PM, and we know that by looking right here at our little helpful reminder. All right, so the next one, playing after school. When would I do that? Morning, afternoon, evening? Afternoon, evening, it's going to be 4 o'clock PM. All right, and so I'm going to actually do, on the next page, I'm going to make this small for just a moment, and I'm going to draw a little number line, okay? Because technically the hours of the day are like a number line. And we start at 12 o'clock midnight. This is midnight right here. All right, and then we have, right here is the middle of the day, and it's also 12 o'clock, but we call that 12 o'clock noon, okay? And then we end right back at 12 o'clock AM the next day, okay? And that is midnight again, okay? So all these little chunks, so this is a 12-hour chunk, 12 hours, and this is a 12-hour chunk, okay? 12 hours, all right? So in between here, we have, I'm gonna split these up for us. We're gonna do that, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. So we're gonna have in between here, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. I had to write really small there. Okay, so all of these hours right here are all AM. So this is 12 AM, 1 AM, 2 AM, 3 AM, 4 AM, 5 AM, 6 AM, 7 AM, 8 AM, 9 AM, 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and then 12 o'clock starts becoming p.m., okay? Oops, let's actually do that a little bit differently. Capitalize that for us. p.m. All right, so all of these hours until usually about here, from 12 p.m. all the way to usually about 7 o'clock are all going to be dark. So I'm going to draw a little moon. Little moon to show that those are nighttime. Okay, and then, so after 12 p.m. noon, let's do these over here. Here we go. Drawing our line. So now we have, after 12 p.m., we're going to start over again, right? We're going to have 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and these are all p.m. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and 11 o'clock, and these are all p.m. Okay, we have 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., 6 p.m. Oops. Just change that right there. 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and 11 p.m. Okay, so from about 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., we have sunshine. It's daytime. Okay, and then from about 7 p.m. to midnight, again, we'll have nighttime, which we're going to draw a little moon. Okay, so you can see that the daytime is going to be part AM and part PM, right? Part AM, part PM, and then the dark is going to be part PM, part AM. So just wanted to show you that. That's a little number line for you. And let's move on to this right here. Actually, let's go to this next page. Back here, it is PM. in the morning. So over here at 2:15 in the morning. No, it's still dark out at 2:15 in the morning. And we're going to add our picture again. Here we go. So eating breakfast, AM or PM. So we're just going to do these first 2 times on here, and then we'll do the bottom 2 times down there. Here we go. So this clock right here, the hour hand is pointing at the 7, the minute hand is pointing at the 12, which tells me it's something o'clock. It is 7 o'clock. So when do you eat breakfast, AM or PM? We can look going forward. It's going to be in the, it's going to be AM. It's going to be in the morning, right? Ante-meridian, before midday. Wash the dog. So let's look at this clock. So we have it pointing a little after the 2 for the hour, and the minutes are pointing at the 3, which would be how many minutes? 5, 10, 15 minutes. All right, so this would be 2:15. And washing the dog, would you do that at 2:15? You're probably going to do that at 2:15 in the afternoon, right? PM. Love it. All right, so on number 7, it says soccer practice. So I'm going to show 3:30 on the clock. And I know that 3:30 is going to be halfway between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So my hour hand is going to be halfway between the 3 and the 4. And the minute hand should be pointing at halfway on the clock because 30 minutes is half of an hour. So it's going to point at the 6. And if I wanted to count, I could say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. Okay? So would you have soccer practice at 3:30 a.m. or 3:30 p.m.? After midday, before midday? I'm going to have it after midday, p.m. And last one, sleeping in bed, 2:30. So let's look. So the 2:30, it should be halfway between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So that's where my hour hand's going to go. And my minute hand is going to be on that 30-minute mark, pointing at the 6. So 2:30 a.m. is going to be in the middle of the night, right? So this is after midnight, but it's still really, really early in the morning, okay? So 2:30 a.m. All right, and down here, complete each sentence, right? Midnight or noon. At blank, I am usually asleep. At blank, I may be eating my lunch. At midnight, I am usually asleep. At noon, I may be eating my lunch. All right, guys, thanks for watching.